Okay, cool. We got video. We got audio. Uh. It's always good to know that all this stuff that I do at the beginning of one of these vlog streams is eternally preserved in the blockchain, and that every time somebody tunes in to my stream from Odyssey, they see that to start with and they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Live right now, audience engagement stream, hop in chat, the rug's fine. And then low valor. Put my supplorst storst in the spork. Right click. And then yinj. Blinge. And then, oh, I'm not surprised, actually. All right. All right, that. And go to the live section. Here. Go to him. And there. All right, cool. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with all my sharing. Got one concurrent viewer. Hello. Valor says the rug in my living room near the kitchen feels very crusty. I am sorry to hear that. You know, we've got somebody in chat who might be willing to help you. And she's also in the server, so feel free to ask her how to clean a crusty rug. Your family might be grateful. Who knows? Two concurrent viewers, so this might be a short one. Who knows? I do not. I'm gonna check on something real quick. Yeah. Time to get this going. Lots of stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. Valor says, every single room in my apartment except for the kitchen and the bathroom are carpet. That's unfortunate. Carpet is very hard to clean. Although, like, it does improve the acoustic quality in your house if you ever wanted to start doing things like recordings or whatever. Like, if you wanted to do what I do, it's a lot easier in a room with a carpet. So. Hello to Eek. I think he's here, but I can't verify yet. Valor says, the manager of the apartment was too cheap and lazy to get wood floors. Well, I mean, you don't even need that. Like, even linoleum can be better if it's well maintained. You know, like, in terms of ease to clean. All I'm saying. Like, carpets trap animal everything. And humans are just animals anyway. Like, we produce dander and oil and shit. So, actually, let me take care of something real quick here. Got to do my roles in the server. Nothing. Yeah, so, how are y'all doing? Is there any subject you want me to discuss so far? It's been a semi-busy week, but next week is going to absolutely pop off, so. And of course, I'm eating my post-workout stew right now. Because, I just worked out, like, an hour before this. I'm looking at this video that's probably bullshit. Where a ton of books, where a library has been cleared out of books, and I think it's probably bullshit. Probably. Not guaranteeably, of course, but probably. I'll look into that later. Put a bookmark on it. Hello, Kant. Is there something you want me to discuss? Rage Against rally happening tomorrow. Should be interesting. Yeah, so, okay, so I'm writing articles on that. I'm glad they got rid of Ritter. You know, that's a good step in the right direction. I'm glad they got rid of Ritter. But they need to be, like, anti-war. And as far as I'm aware, Hinkle is still there. And as far as I'm aware, there's, like, other voices who are, like, also somewhat problematic in the actually being anti-war camp. Now, I'm still glad it's happening, you know, because getting rid of the pedophile means at least that, you know, they don't have that part of the stigma. But at the same time, like, you know, I don't know. It feels somewhat performative. It feels like, you know, a lot of, like, partisanship and one-way streets. Now, just to be absolutely fucking clear, two things. Fuck Putin and the entire Russian government, right? I can't stand those fucking fascists. But the second thing is fuck NATO and NATO governments. Because it's like, you know, I just can't think of a better way to encapsulate the latest NATO thing than an organization which started off with Nazi commanders and the Bundeswehr being so gung-ho to whitewash the history of the Azov Battalion and the Azov Battalion itself and pretend that the Azov movement doesn't exist. Pretend that the movement isn't a thing. You know? Like, it's a problem. It is such an extreme problem. And for the Azov movement and C-14 and Right Sector and Patriot of Ukraine and National Front and just all these fucking overtly Nazi organizations to be completely whitewashed is absurd to me. And I think it's perfect encapsulation because it's like, you're not opposing imperialism or war if you support people who started out with a plank that talked about enslaving foreigners and expanding the empire. And that was like the last plank in the Azov battalion's like co-option of this pledge that was a nationalist pledge. And they like the Stefan Bandera merch and the Stefan Bandera monuments and shit like that. And it's like, you can't oppose the good guys and be the good guy. But like, the rally itself, to get back to that, is like a prime example of sort of going off the rails in opposition to that. Because it's like, it took so fucking much to just get someone who said he was pro-war and pro-Russia off the fucking books. And it's like, everybody was like, oh, we won't be able to hear his speech, his wonderful speech. The greatest speech, never heard speech, right? But then, he's got so many other presences. You can literally hear him give very similar talk in a Thaddeus Russell Patreon bonus. If you want to give Thaddeus Russell, who advocates adult-child sex, money through Patreon, you can also give it to a convicted child sex offender. By getting this extra special Patreon bonus for the unregistered podcast. Or I think it's unregistered. It's Renegade University, whatever. So, it's like, all the worst people wanted Ritter to speak. And like, fucking Clint from Liberty Lockdown, who helped Eliza help Thaddeus, while Eliza talked about her prime, like, kid fucking ANCAP paradise. He was all too gung-ho to share the speech. So was all the people around him, right? And then he gets to act, and this is what's absolutely hilarious. He gets to act. He gets to act like the reason his YouTube was banned was for the anti-war speech, and so many right-wingers ate it up. So many, like, just boilerplaters fucking ate up Clint's reason that his channel got banned. Yeah, it was the anti-war stuff, Clint. It was the anti-war stuff and not the video that literally went viral and had your comments sections absolutely chock fucking full of people talking about how disgusting it was that this video was full of you talking about which adults should be able to fuck which children. I'm so sure. Like, holy shit. How could it be more transparently, like, bullshit that your channel got banned over anti-war stuff? It didn't get banned over anti-war stuff. They don't give a shit about that. Scott Horton gets on so much programming. Fucking Abby Martin is anti-war. There are so many anti-war voices, including the Ron Paul Liberty Report, who've been saying the same stuff for fucking ever. And you're saying your channel got banned because of anti-war stuff? No, it probably got banned because a bunch of people reported a video where you were breaking YouTube's terms of service in discussing how best to fuck children. Don't do that, man. Jesus fuck. And so many people ate that up. I just stayed out of the fray and watched an absolute fucking ton of people be just dismissed when they said, hey, maybe the reason your channel was banned was because of the fucking pedophilia shit. But you're not allowed to say that, I guess? And when I talk to anyone in these circles, fucking anyone, they dodge criticism. And Clint hasn't even responded to my video. And meanwhile, it distracts from the absolute ton of channels who were getting their content removed by Eliza Blue, who he was all too happy to defend and have on his show because they included a screenshot from a public video she took money for and was happy to take money for. It's such bullshit. It's all bullshit. It sucks. I hate it. You know? And so, when Scott Ritter gets kicked, he of course celebrates. All these people who are associated with the worst aspects of this kerfuffle recently, they all were like, oh, I'm gonna wring my hands, moral consternation. This is so terrible. How did this ever happen? Fuck that. Like, he got, like, the social censure that we should use. Freedom of association, reputational damage. Those are like libertarianism 101. Those are like human action 101. We're told that if we ostracize people, that if we push them out, we can do the job that the state claimed to do, and fucking, like, we can do a better job of protecting children. But suddenly, when it's this guy, nah, don't say anything. We're good. Like, what? I hate it so much. I hate it so fucking much. Kant says one of the speakers filed a cease and desist against the rally and the LP. I'd be interested to know who that was or what that was about. If you've got a source, feel free to... But, like... Yeah, like... That's just one example. There's also just overtly pro-war people there. And I just can't support it. And Mises Caucus, like, put out this great statement on Twitter. I'll find that statement because it's fucking valuable. And I want to read this statement. Let me find this statement here. Where did I put my bullshit? You know, actually, I'll just do this. I'll do LP Mises Caucus. Insanity is free. Is it? I said Caucus. There we go. So, I'm having trouble finding it. Let me do this. This energy, I think. Okay, here we go. All right. So after I went hard against a bunch of people who were defending Ritter, I included this thing. And I said my piece at the end of it, but I'll read that after I read their thread. A core strategy of the Mises Caucus is to build coalitions to advance liberty on a particular issue, even when that means working with people who don't share our views on other issues. There are few, if any, current issues more important than ending U.S. involvement in the war in Ukraine, and because both major parties and the rest of the political establishment oppose such disengagement, It's especially important for all of us who favor peace to work together to prevent what could easily end up as a worldwide nuclear war. The Rage Against the War Machine rally in D.C. was formed for this purpose, but the conviction history of one man, Scott Ritter, is threatening to distract from the rally's message and threaten its effectiveness. Therefore, we are asking Mr. Ritter to acknowledge that the many lives that stand to be saved by this coalition are more important than his personal chance to be in the spotlight, great phrasing by the way, and to withdraw from this event. Unfortunately, Mr. Ritter has ignored the reasonable concerns of many rally participants, deciding instead to hold the event hostage by apparently asking many speakers to back out of it if its involvement is terminated. The fact that, through due diligence, Mr. Ritter's legal record was not discovered before this point is a failure. But right now our priority is to save this rally, so its more important, larger purpose can be achieved. The Rage Against the War Machine rally has an important single purpose: to put pressure on those in D.C. and show overwhelming support toward the cessation of U.S. aid for the war in Ukraine. When it comes to geopolitical conflict not directly involving the security of the U.S., there is often very little we can control, but we can work to prevent U.S. taxpayers being forced to subsidize it. Every day this goes on, more innocent people die. Instead of working toward peace, politicians and generals are forcibly conscripting young men, handing them weapons and forcing them into the battlefield to be used and destroyed, while defense industry and government elites line their pockets. Without U.S. involvement, peace talks would almost certainly be underway, and many more fathers, sons, and husbands would be home with their families right now, both Russian and Ukrainian. Mr. Ritter, whatever you have or haven't done, please realize that your involvement presents an opportunity for government-controlled media to attack the coalition and discredit its aims in the eyes of a public that desperately needs to be awakened to what's happening. Please, real Scott Ritter, do the right thing and step aside for the sake of something bigger and more important than us all, world peace. So, my response was this. This is the appropriate response. You say no to these people. You tell them that they're hurting the cause. No coalitions. No rally behind them. You stand on principle the way libertarians should. This is energy I want to see, y'all. Oh, interesting. So, Kant says one of the speakers, so Supreme of Wu-Tang is the speaker. I can send screenshots of it in GC in a bit. All right, I'll be ready for that. That's interesting content right there. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna catch up on chat. Catch up on chat. Catch up on chat. Catch up on chat. Fucking cool. Valor says he had to deal with his ex-friend harassing him and begging him to be his friend even after he said no many times. That he made an account just to friend him and tried to trick him into winning him back, and also tried to destroy his relationship. Yeah, some friends can be like that. That's the friends that won't, like, be actual friends. Like, oh yeah, I know this person, and we sometimes associate with one another. I must be friends. Nope. That ain't how this works. Minty says, I used to be shocked liberals are glorifying Nazi Azov, but I'm not surprised anymore since they recruited Nazis for government and intelligence in the Cold War. Yep. UV says, I'm here now. Hello, UV. Rescind, aloha chat. Hello, Rescind. Yeah. Michael Heiss defended Ritter staying on basis of fiduciary duty. Yeah, well, let's just say Michael Heiss unfriended me during the beginning of the Mises caucus, and I'm not 100% sure why, but I think it's because I'm a pain in the ass about this kind of thing. So, also I'm on live chat, UV. I'm on live chat, Valor. I've been on live chat this whole time. The live chat thing, apparently you can switch that on before you even start the stream, so it's now part of my routine. I'm eating beef. Is beef? Do you beef? Look at beef. Beef. I need to chew with my mouth closed on streams. Nobody wants to see that. But I will be ready for you to send that information in the GC. Can't. Valor is eating beans with eggs and bread and tomatoes. Interesting. Yeah, I'm opposed to UV. I want to see it. Yeah, well, means I can just chew with my mouth open and let him see what I'm voring. All right. Interesting. To Angela McHardle, LP chair for Rage Against the War Machines collectively. Okay, I'm gonna check and make sure that this is legit. Supreme I Self. Alright, Supreme Myself. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna look into this. Here. See, so what I'm seeing is retweets of Angela McHardle. And I'm seeing retweets of the Rage Against the War Machine event. So if it is happening, if he is filing a cease and desist, then it's extremely recent. Let me check. Ah. Okay, so this is all happening now. So Angela says, we did not rob you and we never agreed to pay you $5,000. We were clear from the start that this is a political activism event, not an industry and promotional event. Most speakers paid their own way to get here. You have $18.86 from us and you never purchased your airfare or hotel room like you said you would. Taking this amount from us and then demanding more after backing out of the event is wrong. Your erratic behavior has been well documented. You should return the money we sent you, otherwise we wish you all the best. Supreme says, we shall let the people decide. You will be exposed. You have all the video photo proofs. You also have a cease and desist. You are a criminal and I am justice. That's an interesting way of putting it. Alright, this is something to look into later. I don't really have the angle yet for it. Interesting. Interesting. All this is very interesting. I'll have to look into this. Because I didn't even fully realize that they were inviting a Wu-Tang guy. So that's news to me on its own. You know? So, and I like Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang is good stuff. So, interesting stuff. All right. Okay. Jack is back in chat. Hello, saying, oh, and by the way, feel free to anyone here who isn't, like, share, and subscribe. And if you appreciate this content, do like multiple other people here. And sub to the Patreon. This content, my vlogs, Hate with Harding, the upcoming Abyss channel. There's so much that's coming. And also, of course, more episodes of the Agorist Nexus podcast, which I'm working on an episode right now. If anyone knows anyone in Ohio who's been negatively affected, ideally anarchists, feel free to hit me up. Or, like, Western Pennsylvania. But anyone who wants to support this content is free to. Jack says that he's going hard off the bat. What do you know about the Alice in Wonderland tactic? So, my understanding of it is that it's like, sort of, you not only remove all stimulus that they're used to, but you only include stimulus that would completely subvert their pre-existing stimulus. So it's like you intentionally make things as insane as possible so that they will be gradually, like, sort of melted and bent to your conditioning goals, I guess. That's what I understand of it. You're supposed to make them feel like, essentially we're not in Kansas anymore, and they adapt the rules of the new paradigm and become a different person, essentially. Do I think that's been done during... Well, yeah. I mean, but it's also been done every other time. Like, just read Bernays. Bernays basically wrote the pamphlet on how to do this with propaganda. Torches of Freedom is a great example. All you gotta do is convince people that up is down, that freedom is slavery. Literally 1984, with hinges and tinges of Soma or Parapin from the 9 Inch Nails Year Zero universe, like we're all drugged into submission. That is if I'm remembering the right technique. I believe I am. But if I'm not, then feel free to LMK. How far back do we go for truth? You don't go to a specific back. You use reasoning skills to be able to, like, sort of parse what's reasonable and not, because there's bullshit at every turn. You want to talk CIA? The Center for Research on Globalism posted an article once where they talked about the CIA story within a story tactic, where they will plant not only the real story, but also a bunch of fake stories alongside it to distract truthers from sort of like seeing where it is. And they've been doing that since the Cold War. So there's all that sort of thing too. Like, it's insane. All they needed to do is get control of the media through things like fucking Monarch. And then when they found out through MK programs that all you have to do is traumatize people and their brains go blank and you can put all what you want in there, They were like, hey, great, we'll do that. So that's been their strategy, you know? You gotta fuck with people. You gotta blast them. That's what 9/11 was. Let's have this really crystallizing event where like 3,000 people die and just blare it, blast it. 24/7, 365 news media coverage of how you're gonna get blown up by some brown person. So we have to go blow up more brown people, even though we can't connect those countries that we invaded to this attack. And even though this attack is more closely traceable to the CIA than any of those people, and even though Western military industrialists and financiers benefited a huge amount from this attack, and even though we gave $53 million to the brown people overseas, let us call them the bad guys. Fucking Jimmy Carter, peanut ass little bitch. Oh, Habitat for Humanity. He's such an awesome person. He was a racist piece of shit who would eventually go on to Operation Cyclone, where he funded the Mujahideen, and those people became Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Nusra, the Taliban. But I'm so sure that we're fucking in the Middle East for freedom or something. Democracy, etc. We're not subverting elections. We're not doing regime change. We didn't shove a knife up Gaddafi's ass because he wanted a Pan-African gold currency instead of the petrodollar. We're fucking awesome. And if you disagree, we'll bomb you. We're the U.S. government. Pieces of shit. So they needed a distraction. A nice big traumatic event to say, BAM! This is why you need us, motherfuckers. And if you question us again, it'll happen more. It's like David Icke said, you know, it's problem, reaction, solution model. Ordo ab chao, the 33rd degree Master Mason, Scottish Rite slogan. You want to be, you see, this is the thing. You knew if you brought that up, I would go down on a tangent about the CIA. I think you knew that. I think you wanted me to. Jack says they live in Ohio. They're already negatively affected. You know, they have cool forests. Like, they have really good wilderness if you want to be in the wilderness. So I will give Ohio that. Valor says his favorite teacher's from Ohio. He's worried. Well, I mean, if she or he doesn't talk to you again, then that's a reason to be worried. But they could just be evacuated temporarily. Who knows? Large beef. Alright. Yeah, I made a chuck roast recently. It's going in breakfast, tacos, and burritos, and a bunch of stew. A single chuck roast that's like 2 or 3 pounds will last me weeks. Because I don't waste supporter money. Rasin says it's like shock and awe. Snow is black. Yeah, 100%. Although, if you live in the city, kind of snow is black eventually. That's one thing I noticed is that if I want to enjoy the snow, I have to catch it when it's like really, really fresh. You know? Because otherwise it's going to be soaked in asphalt. Soaked in asphalt, soaked in anti-snow and ice bullshit like, you know, salts and fucking like lava rocks, like igneous rocks that they'll turn into sand and then disperse all over the goddamn shit. So it's like, if I want to enjoy the snow, I have to really go out while it's snowing. And that's something that a lot of people called me insane for because, oh no, his beard is frozen. And like, yeah. My frozen beard was a mark of honor. And I have to wait a whole nother year to get it again. Sad hours. Can we get some S's in chat? Um, Jack says, right, how far... Well, yeah, okay, so... Yeah, so you just use your discernment, you know? Like, train yourself well enough in logic, syllogism, you know, well-rooting yourself in reason, keep your wits about you, you know? Like, it's that kind of jive, because you're not going to get the truth even really far back in history. Like, Plato fucking sucked. And so did so many of these ancient, like, philosophers, and it's not like you go back a certain amount of time and there weren't wars. So it's like there have always been wars, there have always been governments lying to people. So it's not like you're going to find some ideal moment of objective truth. That never existed. You just have to parse everything from history. You have to look at history with an intentionally cynical and revisionist lens. That's how you get the truth. Minty says, why is that anti-Furfest account still tagging you? Okay, so here's a story, which might turn people off, but might as well. There's this furry publication called Dog Patch Press, and they uncritically boosted somebody's block list. And that block list was for people that they claimed were Nazi furries. Now, they never had any evidence whatsoever that I'm either a Nazi or even a furry at that point. But they still included me in the list. Because of some Dragnet thing. I think I might have been in a Discord server or whatever. Because I join a lot of Discord servers and I join a lot of things, and I'm places that I might be able to share my content with new audiences. And so I was probably in one of these servers before it got, like, especially bad. And so they just accused me of being a Nazi and put me on this list. And what I call dog shit press was 100% okay with just spreading and disseminating that list. And it didn't matter that I, like, gave this really good explanation of why they should not keep this article up, because not only myself, but multiple other people I knew were in this list, and they aren't Nazis. So, I just had this fucking, you know, this thing, and it was like fucking 6 or 7 years ago that I was added to this list. And this person's coming out of the blue claiming that I'm a Nazi furry, and I'm pretty sure they're just copying and pasting usernames from that list. And they are also claiming that I'm a zoophile with no evidence. They have no evidence that I'm either a Nazi or a zoophile, but they don't need it, because all they're doing, this Neil Fox bitch, all they're doing is, like, you know, taking that list, putting it into an automation system, and having their account automatically tweet these things out. Like, I want that account banned for spam. That would be great. Because that's a little bitch-made tactic. Like, I am anti-Nazi. I'm a vocal supporter of Antifa, motherfuckers. And you think the Nazis want me? Okay, sure. I'm anti-Nazi enough that I'm willing to go against the popular ones, like the Ukrainian Nazis. I'm so anti-Nazi that I will go against every motherfucker on the goddamn planet if they support Nazis. So, you know, I'm clearly your target. And I'm clearly also the target, if I'm willing to go against zoophiles. I'm clearly your target, because you're a bitch, and you won't actually do research, and you did all this for attention. Such garbage. And he's lying about having a Netflix documentary when Netflix never picked him up for a documentary. He's lying about being the creator of Bitcoin. He's even lying about having a radio show, which I can find exactly zero evidence that he has a radio show. But if you do call that number, you're a rube, because all he's probably using that for is to catch a bunch of people who tried to call into some bullshit non-radio show so that he can get their phone number and dox them or whatever. Like, It's all these sorts of bitch-made tactics, yo. You know? So, that's the thing there. That's the reason that guy's got his cock up his ass. Jack says I was correct about what the Alice in Wonderland tactic is. UV says, did I see the new Hell of a Boss teaser at LVLUP XP? I don't know what that is, but no, I didn't. I'll check that out at some point. You can link that to me if you want. Jack says, layers of deception. The world is a giant onion. And, by the way, eat onions. Men, this is your chance to be a masculine man. I'm going to tell you to eat onions because onions are good for your cholesterol levels, your blood sugar, and heightening testosterone. They have chemicals in them that are androgen agonists, so eat fucking onions or you're a pussy. Rasin says, I think it's called asymmetric warfare. Yep. Jack says, the beatings will continue until compliance is 100. Yep. Rasin says, old snow and slush is depressing as hell. I'm in SoCal, what do I know? Right? Yeah, SoCal occasionally gets it, but it's certainly nothing like what I experienced here, which I'm happy about. I like the fucking snow, so... Valor says, I really like Orthodox Christianity, but it's sad to see it declining and the corrupt churches. Well, you're going to get a lot more of that. Eek says he's not a fan of Plato. Yeah, fuck Plato. Philosopher kings equals oligarchs, in my humble opinion. Yeah, well, also not just oligarchs, but snooty and arrogant oligarchs who believe they're better than everybody else because they gather and think about things. Like, so the fuck what? That doesn't mean you're right. That's the reason I like Diogenes, is he was holding Plato and other people accountable. He was like, that plucked chicken was a prime example. He was like, hey, yeah, you know, you're trying to do all this high-minded bullshit and, like, defining shit, but maybe your definitions suck. That's my inspiration. I want to be like, I want to be the guy who comes in and says, maybe your definitions suck, and maybe your frameworks suck, and come in and prove that why, you know? Minty says, fuck Orthodox Christianity, I follow Orthodox Luigianity. Well, yeah, but you're not doing enough roles in my server to get Luigi. I have Luigi, and you don't. So, you gotta do better. You gotta do better. Jack Curtis says, ancient history provides some direction. I agree with you 100% about the examination of history. Yeah. Jack says, Nazi furries, what are they, German shepherds? Unironically, some of them are. Like, there's this guy who goes by Foxler, which I'm pretty sure you can tell what the lure comes from. Like, he's Fox Hitler, and his whole thing is, like, he sort of looks like a German shepherd. But then there's, like, it's a long story. It's a really long story. You can find YouTube videos about it. Jack says, what about Volkswagen and Fanta? Yeah, fuck both of those things. Like, I don't know why I would drink Fanta when I could drink Crush. It's the same shit with less Nazism. You know? And Volkswagen is highly overrated. Like, why do I want a fucking Beetle? Why do I want a Jetta? Why do I want any of that? All Volkswagen cars, like, I mean, sure, give me a Volkswagen, maybe we'll talk. I'm not buying one. If I have Volkswagen money, I'm gonna go buy me a Nissan or a fucking Dodge. UV says, I'm sorry, Jay, but you're not beating the furry allegations with your 30,000 plus Sonic folder. I'll have you know that it's only 25,000 images from the Sonic franchise. But there's probably like 30,000 files total when you account for the fact that I have literally every Sonic music ever put out. So, I mean, if that qualifies, then sure. But I'm a very fast furry, so that's what counts. Minty says, Jeremiah's a Nazi. Oh yeah, I totally remember you spamming Slava Ukraini and praising Stepan Bandera. Right, yeah. Eek says, when I was young, I would eat onions like apples. You can do that if you want, especially if they're the Vidalia sweets or something like that, like something designed to be extra sugary or whatever. Hey, get me to 5,000 subscribers and I will eat 5 raw onions on camera. Could I go a day without Sonic? Probably not. I mean, like, it's theoretically possible, but, like, I got, like, Sonic merch all over my room, so I would have to take that down, like, theoretically. And then B, like, I literally start every day with, like, an hour or two of Sonic music, so probably not. Minty, oh yeah, that Tokyo Pop store still has the Ukraine comic that has Nazi symbols, and it's the first thing you see when you visit the website. Yeah, well, and also, the best part of that is that, like, they say 100% of proceeds from that comic go to Ukraine. So not only are you reading about the Nazis and glorifying them, but you're funding them. Minty says, I feel attacked for owning a Jetta. Well, hey, I mean, you can own what you want. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just saying I don't like the brand anyway. So it's like not a problem for me to boycott. Beef. Valor says, haha, I got Jeremiah to make 2 promises. Well, but you gotta get me there. You gotta start, like, tagging people in my content. Probably not these. These are more for, like, the informal stuff, but, like, the more people know about my content, the more people subscribe. So feel free, if you like a video, to tag someone who might also like it, any of you. And I'll stick to my word. Y'all can hold my feet to the fire on that. Because I've never been even above 2,000 subs on this channel, and I need 4,000 to even be monetized. I'd like to finally be fucking monetized if at all possible. So, I'm gonna push for that. You know. Minty says, "Did you hear you're apparently a Putin supporter for buying Atomic Heart?" See, I just don't care about any of that. Like, so what if the studio that started making this game a long time before the fucking, like, Ukraine shit was allegedly affiliated with the Russian government? I don't care about that, because there are so many, like, domestic game companies and fucking foreign supported companies that, like, literally work with intelligence apparatuses, like Pokemon Go, for instance. Niantic is a CIA organization. They got In-Q-Tel money real early on, and Nintendo themselves is partially invested in by the Saudi Arabian government, and so both of those things are true. And then, like, Tencent, which is huge in gaming and, owns Discord, is affiliated with the Chinese government. Like, I'm not going to get away from governments, so I'm going to choose games that look good and don't look like they're feeding data to the government. So, like, all this, like, fucking hubbub and hullabaloo around fucking Atomic Heart is just pointless virtue signaling. And the primary person who spoke out against that was this, fucking actual Ukrainian. So obviously he's going to be biased. I don't, care. I'm probably not going to buy Atomic Heart because it's expensive and I don't want to waste supporter money. But I don't care that it's Russian. If somebody gifts me a copy of Atomic Heart, I'm going to play the shit out of it. It's fun. I don't give a shit. Fuck them. Minty says, are people denouncing the Russian government for taking your info the same ones who have TikTok accounts giving their info to the Chinese? Yeah. UV says, I thought Atomic Hearts was a Fallout DLC. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me look this up. Fallout. Maybe not? I don't know. I seem to remember something like that, but let's do Honest Hearts. Honest Hearts. That's what it is. It was like phonetically close in our brains. Minty says, gonna buy 20 copies of Atomic Heart. I'm literally stalling. Hey, if you buy lots of copies, throw me one. I'll promote the game. I don't fucking care. And like, if a good game is Ukrainian, I'll promote that too. As long as it's not like actively endorsing their government. And it's not. Atomic Hearts isn't Russian propaganda. It's, hey, this is what would happen if Russia even tried for utopia. Russia is still fucked up, and here's how fucked up it would get. Like, what? That's a good message. Because fuck the Russian government. In fact, I'm sort of surprised that they even got away with it. Yeah, like, okay, so Sonic has never overtly taken a, an anti-trans stance. But it comes from a country where, like, trans people are forced to sterilize in order to get, like, properly identified on government paperwork. So it's like, nothing's pure. I have to pick and choose. UV says, have I heard of the Ohio train conductor, Mr. D? I don't think so. I'm assuming this is a setup for a joke. So I'm done with beef stew, which is beef, onions, and potatoes, and now I have protein pancakes. Anything else y'all want to discuss? Feel free. Because this goes on as long as y'all have things to discuss. So, feel free to put things in chat. I'm building an online Orthodox church. Reasonable. I always like the concept of churches without walls. I mean, there's not much to rant about Plants vs. Zombies. I think it's an incredibly simplistic game that was sort of overblown due to its simplicity and the fact that it was universally available, I guess. I don't know, it's fine. Ballard says churches without walls. Yeah. So the concept is that you don't go to a specific place, that you just put your church wherever and you start preaching. Garden warfare. Don't know about it. Minji says, I hate how I get attacked for saying I don't like lolicon or pro ship. I get it's fictional, but it doesn't make me any less uncomfortable. Yeah. It's like, hey, yeah, maybe don't like something that's related to the Lolita fucking book and movie, about a professor who wants to fuck a kid. Maybe that's not good. You know? That's fucking... That sucks whole. But yeah, like... Fiction... Like, the fact that something is fictional doesn't mean you shouldn't be upset about it. Politics is downstream from culture. People who support one fiction or another are supporting the politics that come from supporting that culture. Now, it's not to say that, you know, any culture is pure, but it's like you can still pick and choose to not support the pedo shit. Or the rapey shit, or the whatever. So I understand. Now, there is a compelling argument that we talk all the time about, you know, stuff that, like, is heavy in murder and shit like that. So why is murder okay, but this other stuff isn't? And I'm not, because of that, I'm not saying that it's overtly unethical. But what I am saying is that I would rather talk to somebody who likes a murder simulator than somebody who likes a pedo simulator. You know? I'm making a judgment there. I'm acknowledging that the problem is potential, and I'm saying, I made my choice. Minty says, Lolita Epstein fan $8.99 on his way to call LGBT people degenerates. Yeah, for sure. Oh, and actually, I should read some comments, because I did put out some content. And there's going to be more content relatively soon, too. I ranted last night, but it sort of needs some editing, so I'm going to do that. And I don't really have time after my workout to do that today, so. UV says, because murder is not a sexual and obscene crime, child diddling is. Yeah, like, and I'm not saying I support, like, that. I'm just saying, the argument is compelling that both are unethical, and I'm okay with one of them. So it's like, I'm not saying that that because of that I should be okay with both. I'm saying that I picked my line even though it's subjective, you know? All right. What do we got here? There's a lot of comments, actually. I might be here for another fucking hour. Because it's been a bit since I actually went over comments. Jack says, I refer to myself as morally flexible. I flex toward murder when pedos are involved. Yeah, right. Well, then you will be happy to know that I have lots of content coming out against certain ones and certain problems on the Hate with Harding channel. Long as I can continue making a living off of it. So, anyone here who wants to can feel free to support my Patreon, etc. Alright, so. Nathan Klein on 3 Eyes, Vlogstream 35 says, thanks again for pointing out the person on Twitter who needed blocked. I don't remember who that was, but thumb and a heart. Oh, here. Do you mean Hate with Harding? I'll link that right now. Alright, I have one video up on that channel so far. There you go. And I want to do videos like that a lot. But I'm going to need a lot of support to do that. Especially since I'm about to move to a place with, like, higher rent. So. Valor on the same said, so epic. Thumb and a heart. Valor on my video against bullshit race things. Despite making up 13% of the population. Vlog 167. He says SOS. I'm not sure why, but I'll give that a thumb and a heart. Troll says on the same video, despite making up 13% of the global population, Africa only has 4% of COVID deaths. Did I do this right? You know, I really fucking like that. Because fuck the lockdowns and all these fucking bullshit things. Like, why didn't they have such a huge spike? You know, that's a really good point. You know, they weren't 100% covered in vaccines. They didn't get like 8,000 boosters. Somehow they did okay. It might be because the whole like pharma industrial complex is bullshit. Really good fucking point, Troll. Thumb and a massive fucking heart. Valor says B on spread. I'm not sure what that means. Mr. Knight said on a triangle vlog stream 36, the only good thing about Tyree Nichols is that the Scorpion unit was entirely scrapped. Despite it being tasked with dealing with drugs and extreme crime, they did everything but that. Yeah. I'll do a video on that too. A link to my page. Oh, do you mean my page? Well, if you don't mean my Patreon, I'll link it anyway. I should use the feed there too, because I don't use it enough, and some of the patrons might miss some of the content. So I'll start using the feed more. That's there. Fucking yeah, I gotta do a video on the unit. I gotta do a video on, like, a really comprehensive video on that whole situation. And situations like it. Hate with Harding is gonna be sort of commentary / documentaries and shit. Valor on Triangle posted cool twice. I'm not sure why, but hearts and thumbs. And Cool Hedgehog on They'll Invade Your Mind to Make You Snitch. And that's a video I care quite a bit about, because it talks about some shit that people should really, really focus on. They are literally trying to invade our minds. They're telling us we don't deserve mental privacy. Holy fucking shit. You know? Like, that should be blared every fucking where all the goddamn time. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how many people you lose. You tell them that they want to invade your fucking brain. Oh man, I hate it so much. Like, let's have a talk about whether or not we have mental privacy rights. Fuck! Jesus, I hate these people so much. I'm filled with rage every time I think about these rich fucks and their huge amounts of resources and shit. You know? And the fact that they're willing to pour those into controlling us. Same video. Thumbnail graphics look like the Voivod Dimension Hatros album art. It is album art, but it's not that. It's like book cover art for the fuck. I can't remember it right now. Ah, that sucks. If I remember it, I'll let you know. I think I referenced it directly in the video though. But it's like, you know, there's a possibility I could just Google search it. View comment on YouTube. I'm gonna see if I can Google search this, because I want to tell people to watch or to read the book, but I can't do that if I don't fucking know what book it is, and I should, and for some reason I don't, and I don't know why, but it'll probably come up Shh. Oh, come the fuck on. There we go. All right. There we go. I can't get me to shut the fuck up. Other people must have that problem too. All right, there we go. I'm almost certain that when I open this up, it's going to give me what I want. But we'll see. Book. Fuck. Well, if I remember the book, I'll let you know. Because for some reason I can't right now. Unless, of course, I can just look in my history. There's a possibility I can do that. Because I want to get this, 9 days ago isn't too far back. And I can probably find book. Tuesday. No, yeah, we're already back in November when I searched the word book. Huh. Cover. Yeah, I'm not coming up with it. I'll look this up. I'll figure it out. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to. All right. So, let me check up on some comments here. And a thumb and a heart on that one. We got hashtag work your garden and hashtag build your network. Well, there you go. That'd be the YouTube channel. And that YouTube channel is going to host like documentary style and commentary style videos. I'm joining that space. And I'm going to talk about a wide variety of people. Minty, liberals. Thanks, government, for protecting us. Government, we are literally invading your mind. Yeah, exactly. Jack says, Orwell thought that we'd have the few square centimeters in our head, dumb bastard. Yeah. Valor says, I'm a cryptic person. Rescind says, we're livestock, human resources. Indeed. Ego says, Rug, I assume this is you announcing your upcoming NFT project. No. I'm probably never going to get involved in that shit. Rescind says, disposable, 100%. Valor says, I like hearing you talk. You're crazier than 051. I'm not going to do a thug shaker. For Jack, who's asking, that's just a dude twerking. So what's going on with that Dom guy? Dominic has strong issues with, he has strong issues with sort of drifting into more nationalist circles. And into more nationalist tendencies. And as a consequence of doing that and losing his anarchism, he's no longer framing things from a pure freedom standpoint. And he's pretty much completely adopted right-wing beliefs with no room for anything else. So. Yeah, I hate twerking normally. I'm not going to do a thug shaker. Like, people here can tell you that I loathe twerking, and I especially loathe that kids are doing twerking. Nobody should twerk, much less a child. Rescind says, originally dubbed the brain activity map, the brain research through advancing innovative neurotechnology initiative, BRAIN, was launched by President Barack Obama in the U.S. on April 2nd, 2013, end quote, from the very mainstream website Verywell Health. But it didn't stop there. Quote, the advisory committee to the NIH director BRAIN Initiative Working Group 2.0, formed in April 2018, worked tirelessly to assess BRAIN's progress and advances within the context of the original BRAIN 2025 report, identify key opportunities to apply new and emerging tools to revolutionize our understanding of brain circuits, and designate valuable areas of continued technology development. Over the course of 1.5 years, the Working Group 2.0 has undertaken a deliberative and open process consisting of portfolio review, scientific workshops, town halls, and public solicitation. End quote. Further, quote, in response to the BRAIN 2.0 report, the NIH BRAIN Initiative has been developing new ways to increase public engagement in the initiative, with a focus on engaging high school students in order to develop the next generation of researchers. Recently, the BRAIN Initiative has launched 2 projects, the BRAIN Explorer and the BRAIN Initiative Challenge, end quote. See NIH's BRAIN Initiative. She says, they're all in on it. No one is coming to save us, but knowledge is key. Good comment. I might make a video on this initiative. Valor says okay. Rasin says, gotta run. It's been real. Have a great week. All be well. You as well. Minty says, I'm finally getting my paycheck on Wednesday, so I'm probably able to support you. Well, if you decide to, you can. I'm definitely grateful. It's not mandatory. Like, this channel is not going to be one of those ones where it's, like, suddenly going to cost money later. Part of the point of this channel is to be sort of semi-informal. So I want this channel to continue on the same way that it's been forever. Also, anyone here who hasn't yet, feel free to hit like or subscribe or whatever, because it really helps the algorithm, I'm supposed to say. Mr. Knight said, so New Mombasa... Hold on, I clicked the wrong thing. But for everyone and kind of shit. Basically, you know, we're dealing with some pretty bad shit here. Jack on the previous vlog stream says, occult comes from ocular, meaning vision or to see. Yeah, but what I was saying in terms of the occult was that it's like it comes from the same roots as occlusion. So that's what I was saying. Like it comes from the eye. Only in this time, the goal is to block the eye, except for those who know how to see. It's the reason Illuminati symbols are full of, like, you know, eyes. It's like, I can see because I'm in the know, but can you? I can see because I'm with the enlightened folks, but can you? So, but thumb and a heart either way. Thumb and a heart on Valor's comments on the same video. Yes, I need to work on my dandruff. I need to not have that before I start. Cold Highway says on the In Your Hills, the talking point that the U.S. was culture homogenous is a myth that's been peddled by clowns like Pat Buchanan for years. Hell, dating back to the 13 colonies, there were culture differences. I'm surprised Justin has gone cathtrad, given how the right wing is open about their dislike for Pope Francis. Yeah, right? Right? Fucking... But he's a hack, so he's not really even going cathtrad. He doesn't, like, really know these traditions. He doesn't know a lot. Who, like, latches on to whatever he can. That's who that guy is. We're talking Justin Mulvo. Of, Bibberty Hangout. But yeah, thumb and a heart. I got AJ Fisher over here telling me that I'm ignoring the whole point of the FBI UCR, and that instead of talking about fatherlessness, dropout rates, unwed mothers, and unemployment, I slapped the anti-black racism decal on it and crossed my arms. No, I didn't. I said that they were in poverty. I said that they didn't have, as much economic opportunity because they didn't get their 40 acres and a mule starting off. They didn't have generational wealth, so they've always been, stuck on the system. And they didn't have the, sort of blessings that the blessed folk do. I don't think I'm part of the problem because I look at the root of the issues you brought up. Why is there fatherlessness? Why are there dropout rates, unwed mothers, and unemployment? Maybe there are unwed mothers because a lot of fathers are in jail disproportionately. Maybe that's also why there is a lot of fatherlessness. Maybe there's a lot of fatherlessness because a lot of them had to do terrible jobs because they didn't have the sort of access to society that their non-black counterparts did. None of this is acceptable to bring up to you, though, AJ, because you just want to push your garbage. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video on that, but that's definitely a thumb down. I'm leaving it up, though. I try not to censor people. The Lounge says on They'll Invade Your Mind to Make You Snitch. Vlog 168. Hey there, Jeremiah. I saw your video about the Smith Act of 1940, and I'm afraid I'll most likely be the next person to be prosecuted under it. Interesting. I don't want my efforts to be in vain, but if you could revisit the topic sometime soon to spread more awareness that this law needs to be struck down by SCOTUS, thanks, and keep up the good work. Well, thumb and a heart, but I'm also going to write, curious as to your sitch. Hit me up. And then Valor on the Ohio video. Thumb and a heart on lots of hedgehogs and cool. Tris Kit says it's no big deal. There are 40,000 train derailments daily. It's insert political party here's fault, right? Yeah, we can never talk about actual structural concerns or actually getting rid of this state. We've got to be fucking we got to be partisan hacks about it or we're not doing our job. Ungovernable says these decisions should not be decided by a select few people. So they should be made by a different group of a select few. Yeah, right? Right? Racine says, I've got questions about how the derailment was managed. If the responsible parties are going to be held liable for the injury they caused, what's being done to keep this from happening in the future, and generally, what the fuck? I have similar questions, for instance, about COVID, the jab injuries, why California has a budget surplus, yet our energy costs are through the roof, why airplanes are nosediving, what the fuck is floating around our airspace, and why we're not hearing or doing more about the 100K dead in Turkey, for starters. Thumb and a heart on that. For sure. Lord Zeus says, I have to agree with everything you've said. The most suspicious thing for me was the fact that the EPA said it was okay for everyone to return to business as usual in this case. There's a toxic chemical that is now in the waterways of the entire state. If people aren't even supposed to touch it with bare skin, then why are people being forced to live in a city where they have to bathe and cook with this water? Yes! And why are they breaking the fucking evacuation instructions and saying, hey, we don't have to clean this stuff up before we evacuate the entire area, like it says on literally every data sheet about this. Like, we don't have to follow our standard procedures for land spills and say, get the fuck out of here until we're done cleaning this up, or you might die of cancer. Get back in here. Get back to your fucking suburbia life. Go back to work, Wagey. You need to produce. You need to be our fucking serf. You need to be a pawn in our machine still. So go back. It's fucking safe. The EPA goddamn said so, and they would never lie. God, I hate these people. I fucking hate these people. I hate these people so fucking much. He finishes off by saying, then again, should we really be surprised? Look at Flint. That's the biggest example of the failure of every single administration that crisis has been continuing under the EPA. Great video, man. Thanks for speaking out about this. Yeah, and so Flint, Red Hill, fucking Texas is the single biggest water polluter in the country, and nothing is being done about it. People are just like, yep, that's Texas. Fuck you. Holy shit. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate this place. I hate this government. Shit. Let me see how long this comment is here. There's always money for Ukraine. This is on the same video. Israel and others, but never for anything domestic. YouTube channel Conflicts of Interest did an interview 3 days ago with Misty Winston about this subject. It's a good listen if you haven't seen it already. The whole thing is very shady. We'll check that out for sure. I don't know Conflicts of Interest or Misty Winston, so might be two new avenues for research. Fucking got a little heated there. Let me see if there's anything held for review that I need to check. Nope. 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 Alright, cool. Jack says, I can't wait till that corn soy vegetable is harvested and mixed into the food supply as if it weren't toxic. Yeah. Oh, just one thing though. And this is something that might spark some debate in the chat. Phytoestrogens block estrogen receptors and basically aren't bioavailable to humans, so you can actually get kind of jacked on soy products. I just thought I would bring that up as a nice little pot stirring device. Either way, feel free to bring up subjects. We are drawing to the 1 hour and 30 minute mark, so I'll probably be locking it soon unless things busy up. Also, I'm going to check Twitter and see if anybody's throwing anything at me there. Doesn't look like it. Alright, cool. Cool. Alright. Valor says, fuck the Pope. That's how you make more popes. Yeah. I got lots of stuff coming up. So, what do I got coming up? More content on Hate with Harding. I want to put out one video every 3 to 4 days. And if I can get the workflow going, I'll certainly be doing that. Fucking... Valor says not like that. I had you, though. You left it open. You left it open. I'm gonna do a daily vlog again starting tomorrow. Because I sort of fell off on that. I want to get Moment of Rage back up and going. Or not Moment of Rage, fucking Weekly Hellscape back up and going. But I really want that account to be unbanned first. So I'll see if... Actually, it's been a bit since I checked. There's a possibility that Twitter stopped being pieces of shit temporarily and unbanned my podcast account. That would be ideal. Yeah. Nope. My podcast account is still suspended. Jack Curtis says a farmer has successfully grown a field of vibrators. Unfortunately, he now has squatters. That's a funny one. I smirked internally. Minty says, funny how a lot of Americans are Catholic when this country used to be extremely anti-Catholic. Yeah. UV, me, a Chernobyl fan, when someone hits me with that dollar store chemical leak. Yeah, and when people were like, oh, it got Chernobyl's, they were just repeating this, like, Falcon Refinance account, which was, like, intentionally sensationalizing the event and literally lied that the police are the ones who blew up the train with zero evidence. And then he later admitted to lying about that. Let me see if that account is still down, because he deleted his own account. And everybody's freaking out about the deleted account, too. Nope, it's back up. So, Falcon Refinance put out this... Actually, I'll put this up on screen. Pull that up, Jamie. So... All right. One moment. I'm finding the thread right now. And it's fucking pretty old thread. That is if it's even still there. Which it ostensibly could not be. But I'm pretty sure that it is. But it's like an entire... some of the stuff they posted in the thread was good. And some of it is exactly not. Trying to find the specific thread here. They've repeatedly posted about dioxins. But I'm trying... Actually, I could probably just say... Falcon Refinance Chernobyl. All right, Chernobyl-ing. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So, pull this up. Now that I've got 3 viewers left. Ah, and I got dandruff. I didn't even notice that because I didn't have my fucking big viewer on. Fucking pull the dandruff out. That'll be my first step here. Okay, so window, UAE exotic falconry, and then that. So they say Ohio right now. Let me blow this up a little. That's a giant cloud of polyvinyl chloride and a ton of other bad chemicals. So first off, no, it's not. Polyvinyl chloride is a stable plastic. It's fine. You know, that's the reason they use it in pipes. That's the reason they use it in BDSM equipment. That's the reason they use it in fucking so many, like, real strong duty industrial applications, you know? fucking polyvinyl chloride is the actual product that things like vinyl chloride make. So no, it's not polyvinyl chloride. And then he says, the local police blew it up like a beached whale. No, they didn't. The rail workers blew it up. And yeah, they shouldn't have done that, but lying about it doesn't help. And I was like, now megatoxins are Chernobyling Ohio. No, they're fucking toxins. They're toxins, not megatoxins. And Chernobyling? No. This isn't fucking a burning underground thing consistently causing fallout that will last multiple lifetimes. This is really fucking bad, but it's not Chernobyl bad. And there's a news blackout and the police are beating reporters and camera people and dragging them. I saw police arresting reporters. I didn't see any beating. But, like, this is just an example of where you can go if, like, you don't care about truth and you just want to sensationalize for a fucking 74,000 likes and 5,574 quote tweets and 31.4 thousand retweets. He said, they didn't tell anyone that it's a 5-day evacuation. Oops, all pets dead. That's a reasonable point. He posts this. The environmental devastation will be visible from space for decades. That's probably true. And he also includes like a pH thing, you know, contamination, whatever. I don't know what this is. I'm going to click this. Yeah, okay. So it's just the fire. And then reporter arrested. Nothing about being beaten, though. This guy speaks some reasonable truth, but I don't want to get this fucking video taken down for, like, copyright blah blah. So, we're in the 10 to 50 range, and that one's this one, where it's like, chronic animal, death, decreased body weight, histopathological changes in the liver, and semi-inferous tubules. I don't know what semi-inferous tubules are, but tumors, multiple target organs. Pretty sure that's what it is. So that's good information, and here's just a video of, I think, a neighboring place. And then just, yeah, he got arrested, right? So most of this is good, right? Most of this is reasonable. You know, it's just like sort of first-hand accounts and news articles. But he started it off with such sensationalist garbage that's like, okay, fine. You did some good stuff with this thread, but yeah, it's not good. It's definitely not good. Just don't, you know, immediately and uncritically spread disinformation. Because if this was a police thing, it would be really, really bad combined with terrible. But it's not a police thing, and saying that it is confuses people who are looking for the actual story about who's actually to blame. So it's always something to consider as to whether or not you're spreading something false. I love California. Don't live near the Chevron plants. It's a global event. So it's a reasonable thread, right? But he at some point just says he wants to land the police with this. And that he doesn't care that it's not true, specifically. Right? So it's a reasonable thread, but it could be better, is what I'm saying. Let's see. Thoughts on the culture war. You see my mess in the background? I'm not sure what you mean. But my room is a mess. So, thoughts on the culture war garbage? I mean, I'm not sure what you mean. There's lots of aspects of it, so if you can be more specific. Valder says, my girlfriend took a bite out of a bath bomb. Shouldn't have done that. Earth Nerd says, onions are good for madness. Be a man. Yeah, right? I gotta find that guy and do a TikTok. Lord Zeus? Yeah, he's a commenter. He was one of the commenters. Opinions on APA? That's a whole nother video. Jack Curtis says, a farmer has... Okay, yeah. So... Ohio citizens going to be looking up like SCPs if it doesn't get cleaned up. Right? UV says, next stream, let me guest star and catch kills on Fortnite. This stream is not for that. Valor says, I love SCP. I'm playing an SCP game right now. I didn't know they made SCP games. Earthnerd says, I have no idea why he's like that. He said, I can marry anyone I want except a Catholic. He told my mom insisted the same. I'm not sure what you're referencing. Oh, my grandfather is very anti-Catholic currently. My sister came out as LGBT and he was like, okay, as long as she's not Catholic. Ah. Interesting. Minty says, is he a fundamentalist Protestant or something? And, or just hates Catholics. Earthnerd says he doesn't even go to church. Valor says, haha, dandruff head. UV says, dandruff more like portable Parmesan, right? I am Parmesan now, Valor says. I think there's a connection between Earthnerd says ADHD, skin conditions, and increased mucus production. There might be something to that. Earthnerd says, UV says, the Earthnerd, I have ADHD as well, and also have pretty much all of what you're describing. Seems like you're onto something. Maybe it's due to increased bodily activity. If I could, Jack says, if I could describe my perfect world, what would it look like and how will we get there from here? Alright. This is probably a video on itself, at least. I want to see more localism. I want to see neighbors who know each other and have each other's backs. I want to see people who are trusting and close-knit enough that when somebody needs their kid watched, that can happen. And so that, like, they can work as a community, as a neighborhood, to, you know, garden, build their own supplies, build their own stores. I want to see people who know how to do things rather than people who are fundamentally dependent on third-party services to do things. You know, and if you do need somebody to do it, there's a neighbor down the block. You don't need some mega corporate chain. I want to see, like, you know, churches that care more about teaching people to be caring and reasonable than making money or spreading hate. I want to see an end to racism, I guess. You know, like, I want to see people looking at other people on a works basis rather than a, you know, your insert demographic, so you're evil basis. I want, you know, enough cooperation that we don't need the state because we're demonstrably in manner to be self-reliant, and our communities are able to function in spite of their control. I want, you know, enough surplus and enough active use of said surplus that when somebody is in need, you can just give them what they need because you have extra. I want, like, well-trained in defense people to be there constantly vigilant and defending the place rather than police, rather than troops, rather than feds. I want no more war because we are concerned with our own affairs and not with building and managing a global empire. I want less disease because people are intermingling enough and their immune systems get enough exposure and they have enough to eat and enough facilities to stay clean in and enough homes that disease doesn't spread. And I want a society where people aren't the subject of engineered government viruses or panics or shocks. You know? I want a society where we can accept people of any sexuality as long as they are consenting adults. You know, as they are as kids, because they kill themselves if they aren't accepted, and maybe we should stop that. Or deep-seated mental illness and things like that. I want a society that is stable enough that it doesn't have addiction as a primary concern, or needle shiz, or somebody ODing because the shit was too pure, or there's a laundry list of things that could be just improved by no longer prohibiting things and allowing people their freedom. But those aren't happening because we don't live in the society I want. I want a society where we don't have to wait for the release of Epstein's client list because the next Epstein doesn't get to wait and doesn't get public support for his crimes until he eventually totally dies in his jail cell, which we still haven't really seen a body, and his bank account activated after he was dead to send a bunch of money somewhere, probably because he's not dead, and we have no actual evidence that he is dead. I want to get to him before that happens, before more rapes happen, so that we can deal with the problem. I want a society where we're dealing with problems as they come up rather than deferring them to a crime-fighting organization that basically doesn't, where 50% of murders go unsolved, along with 60% of violent crimes. I want that. That'd be fucking nice. I want cleaner food because it came from down the street rather than some infested, chemical wasteland that we are now forced to take food from because of a massive chemical spill. I want no centralization so that we can actually have some fucking freedom up in this bitch. There's so many things that I could say. Mostly I just want fucking freedom. I hope that answers your question. Jack says, that happens. I'm starting a church garden this spring. Good. Minty says, I remember he posted a screenshot of Dom retweeting someone who said racist is an anti-white slur. Yeah, basically. He's just so far down his fucking garbage hole that he's not interested in resurfacing. Jack says, what about food, water, and power? There are a myriad of problems to address in crafting a society. Alright. So here's the thing. First off, don't live in the desert. People need to stop living in the desert. We need where there's already plenty and stop redirecting resources from where there's plenty, which desertifies those areas, and putting them into places that aren't plenty. Because, let me tell you, as someone who was raised in the desert, as someone who was raised in the motherfucking desert, there are so many golf courses, and they suck. And it's not just golf courses, it's sports in general, it's a bunch of lawns. And all this water came from, the Colorado River. or some shit. And it's like, this water could have stayed where it was keeping things alive rather than going to evaporate in the desert so that some guy can have a lawn or a golf course or something. You know, we need to live where it's already hospitable, and we need to live there in close harmony with nature, so we're not fucking that place up too. If we were closer to each other, there would be less need for packaging, for instance, so we would be more capable of being litter free, going zero waste, that sort of thing. You know? But living where it's actually hospitable would not only help that, like the ecology, whatever, but it would also help people like me, because we wouldn't have been raised where there's basically nothing to do but drugs. So live someplace hospitable. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you do live someplace hospitable, there's likely a source of running water. And you can use that source of running water to get water power, hydropower. Like, basically all of Spokane is powered by water. That should tell you everything you need to know right there. Fucking water isn't accessible? Do solar. Solar isn't accessible? Do wind. Because wind is advancing heavily. And you can get these cylinder turbines that basically don't kill birds at all. And these cylinder turbines can fit in your yard. So if everyone has like a few cylinder turbines, you can power your house. You don't need the state. There's an example. Using less power because you just don't need that much. Like, a lot of people overuse power because they can and because they're not connected to the source. That's not good. It's one of the reasons this electric car boom is shit. Because it's like, yeah, sure, that coal that was burnt in order to make your power is now going into your lithium battery. Good for you, you did it. You stopped things from being burnt. Wait, no, you didn't. Good for you, you stopped environmental devastation. No, you didn't. Lithium is terrible for the environment, and so is the cobalt mining and all this other shit. Well, at least it can be recharged clean. No, it can't. Most energy mixes aren't sustainable. So it's like all this stuff, right? We can solve a lot of those problems just by living better and being more responsible. Being better stewards of the fucking planet. That sort of shit. And food would already be sorted out by the mechanisms I discussed. Like, basically hashtag food not lawns. You would be going, like, to your front yard to pick from your garden. Or from your backyard where you got chickens and pigs. Or goats or lambs or whatever. And you would trade with neighbors. You would do things more agrarian style and less like state capitalist style. You know, there's options. There's options. So, like, I think all of that would be sorted out in my ideal society. We are talking like Goldilocks shit here anyway, so it's like I can just throw anything I want out there on this regard. UV says nuclear energy. So, yes, but thorium. Thorium is so much better, and I'm glad they're working on it finally. Because thorium basically produces no waste. And nuclear waste is an extreme fucking problem. You know? As someone raised in the desert, I can tell you that. And as somebody who has seen depleted uranium babies, I can also tell you that. So, you know, fucking nuclear power is fine. But you gotta use the right nuclear power. Earth Nerd says you can build your own hydroelectric generator. I looked into it a while back. It doesn't seem hard. Yeah. Because it's just an alternator. It's an alternator hooked up to a fucking pole, hooked up to a turbine. The turbine turns the crank. The alternator turns. It produces you power. Easy as. Jack says, would a global population of 500 million make things more agrarian? as per the Georgia Guidestones. No, because 500 million people can still be cunts. It's not a matter of like, it's not a matter of a certain number. Peter Coffin, noted communist YouTuber, recently came out with a great video about that called "Less Sucks," and he went over the eugenic roots of like lots of the overpopulation concerns, and the fact that a lot of people into these circles, they're repeating a lot of sort of Malthusian ideas in this regard that don't really pan out when you consider the implications that they provide and when they actually account for the fact that it's basically eugenics at every turn. It's like hashtag you are the carbon they want to reduce. It's not good. None of it is good. Overpopulation is not a thing. What's the thing is misuse of resources. And that can happen with any level of population. Peter Coffin, Jeremiah's a crypto Bolshevik confirmed. I've been a Peter Coffin sub for a while. He does good content. Real good stuff. Him, Angie Speaks, fucking T1J, some more news. There's a lot of people in the sort of more left sphere that I pull a lot of inspiration from. So, and I could keep on listing people. But like his video on how basically this overpopulation stuff is just designed by the elites to say, hey, there are too many of you. We should get rid of you. Then we'll be better off. And for Eek, if he's still here, Peter Coffin in that same video also goes against the Plato sort of philosopher king concept as the root of a lot of these sorts of neo-Malthusian ideas, because it's like, yeah, shit, if only we could just get a bunch of people to intellectually circle jack each other, then we'd be great. That if those people ruled, the people who are just getting into constant intellectual circle jacks, we'd be fucking awesome. Because then the truly smart people would be there, and we could get rid of the sorts of people that Sanger called the moron class and shit like that. It's like, it's a really good video. People should watch it. Eugenics will continue. It drives evolution. Ask the giants. Oh wait, hashtag extinct. Yeah, well, and see, but that's the thing. Eugenics is all about like manual selection, and typically, the pieces of shit in charge of eugenics are the ones who are saying what should be selected out. So it's like, what if I made a philosophy? What if I made a philosophy where only people like me were good and should still be here, and then everybody else went away, and we had an awesome rainbow's time? We could just kill most of the people, and then the world would be awesome. We'll maintain the world at a population of 500 million in perpetual harmony with nature. Yeah. We can all just sing John Lennon's Imagine for the rest of time. It's like, fuck you. Fuck off. Hitler learned his best stuff from America. His most effective fascism from America. And it's because America was already pretty eugenicist. It's why Henry Ford and Disney and fucking Prescott Bush loved fucking Nazi Germany. It's because they were the sorts of like, hey, we're the fucking ideological foundation of this shit. Our baby grew up so fast. Minty says a lot of Nazi policies were inspired from... Yeah. It's exactly that. People should watch that video. It's a good video. Peter Coffin does good work. And I've been a subscriber for a while. He puts a lot of things into decent perspective. So, either way, though, we are over 2 hours at this point. So I will remind people that if you like content like this, you should subscribe to my Patreon and this channel, and subscribe to Hate with Harding, and shit like that. Yeah. Also, I have to send out a message to my patrons about that because I have to see which ones of them want to be included in the credits of my more professional content. So, Minty says, I've heard of Peter. I've just heard negative stuff from neolibs. Yeah, that shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, to be completely... You could just draw a line and say, if Jeremiah likes him, then neolibs hate him. You just fucking spack them together, just like that's the continuum. Neolibs like, Jeremiah does not. Jeremiah likes, neolibs do not. Fucking I hate the established order, and Peter Coffin does a good job of sort of breaking into that. That's my opinion. And I've watched like pretty much everything he's put out, so I have good opinions on it. Anyway, y'all have a good one. I'm gonna put out a significant amount of content this week, so brace. Keep your ass on. Smash the fucking state.